Good afternoon, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we've been gathering every day, Monday through Saturday at noon Eastern Daylight Time, to love and support each other during this pandemic. I like to consider this noonday meditation as a refuge, as a sanctuary for all of us to come to get out of the drama that this pandemic has created for most of our lives, everybody's life. No human being on the planet has not been impacted by COVID-19. And it has brought with it a lot of other things, and with it, so much more darkness has come into the light, isn't it? And we don't necessarily need to blame the darkness for being dark. We need to shine the light on it. And that's what we do here at noon every day, Monday through Saturday. My name is Martin Cowart. I am a prosperity coach and teacher. And what I'm here to help you with and understand is how we apply, let me turn this thing off, how we apply spiritual principles to solving our problems. Just 1 second here. I need to turn this off. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience. The purpose of us is what I do is I help people to find spiritual principles, spiritual truths to solve financial problems. And they're the same principles, same truth to solve every problem. And we are in a crisis. So what I do here every day at noon is to share my wisdom and my truth, spiritual, how we can get through this pandemic together. And not just get through it, but thrive, to actually grow and expand and come through this as a more honest and more loving and creating a world that's built in our true nature. The world we created is pretty darn toxic and uncomfortable. And I always say that this is one of the things that's going on right now is perhaps, oh my, hey, big time stress and angst here. Well, you're in the right place to get rid of some stress and some angst, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to give you some stress and angst relief. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you shared where you're feeling. You're not alone. I think the whole world is feeling a lot of stress and angst, and that's exactly why we create this sanctuary at noon every day, so we can come together and we can let go. We get some relief from this stress and angst. So glad you're here, Michael, and thank you for letting me know. And hello, Martin and Mike. Hey, Roette. And nice to see you here too. And then there's my dear friend Audrey Small. I love this woman. She and I we're both speakers, and she is a powerhouse of a woman with a big heart and a big smile, and there's just nothing small about her whatsoever. It is just all full of love and generosity. So you're an inspiration just to be here, Audrey. Thank you so much for coming today. And I'm going to give you, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So I'm glad you're here. And we're going to do something today. I want to let you know I created a webinar over the summer, and it recently was released, and I'm giving it away. It's practicing the art of being present, your key to living a life of love, joy, and prosperity. And it's all based on what we do here, and all of you are welcome to it. All you need to do is join our Facebook group community, the Financial Mystics Sanctuary Facebook group. Just join. And it's right there. It's a unit. It's free. Oh, there's my dear friend Mindy. I wonder where you were. Glad you're here. So what I've been doing I'm going to be doing for a few weeks now, I'm going to be going through different parts of the webinar and teaching it to people and sharing it with you on this noonday opportunity. Because I think that I'm certain it's why I created it. I'll share you a quick story about how it was created, and that was I started out just I'm going to do a quick webinar, a quick video for my clients to learn to meditate. Because I mean, if you're going to work with me as a coach, you've got to meditate. It's all there is. And I can't help you if you're not willing to meditate. I can't help you. This well, how do you meditate? I don't know how to meditate. I'm like, well, let me create a video and I'll show you how to do it. And I love people are welcoming each other. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that, Rohit. But what happened was, as I began to create the content, I began to practice. My meditation practice took on a newer life, because I'm now going to. They say if you want to really master something, teach it, and that's so true. So I spent actually it turned into a whole summer project. And in this fall, when I was recording the video, the webinar, the content, I realized, wow, I am living present. Presence is living with. I am living most of the time. I am living with presence. I call that presence Joy the Wise Woman. And the thing about presence is, it's like, wow, once you get used to this sort of way of living, getting out of the way, it's really a life of love, joy, and I also realize that I am living a life of love, joy, and prosperity, and that's a very exciting way to live. So now I'm offering this webinar so you can live the same way. And many of you already are, and but it's a practice. It's about living that kind of life. Living with presence is a practice, and it's a practice that's kind of hard in the beginning because your ego doesn't like it, and that's why I created this webinar. It's got a 90-day thing in the end of it, a challenge in the end, if you will, that you can take too. So anyway, today I'm going to talk a little bit about, yesterday we spoke, and if you want to watch that, you can watch the repeat. Yesterday I talked about 3 things you can avoid. We're talking about turning your life into a sanctuary, and the value of turning your life into a sanctuary. Because we live in so much drama. We live in so much drama right now. Having a refuge is so important. We need to create our own personal refuge, our own personal sanctuary. It's great that we come here every day and we gather, but we need to have the tools to be able to go into that sanctuary whenever we need to. And we need to do certain things to avoid it. Yesterday I talked about 3 things we should avoid: the news, social media, and people pulling us into drama conversations. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 things that we can do to enhance, that we can replace those activities with things that will create more love in our life and create more joy in our life. And they're right there. And so I'm going to talk about those things today, and then we're going to meditate. Okay, so let's get over to. So we talked about avoiding the drama triangle, and that's that lower level. That's where we feel like the victim. Let me tell you something about victim. Every time you complain about even the smallest thing, you are playing the role of the victim. How do you get out? You accept the world exactly as it is. But I just want to say that to you. We all are victims. It's part of our human nature. So it's not like you're bad or you're wrong, but if we get trapped in it, if we get trapped in that triangle, we can't. It's not a very. It's a kind of a miserable place to live, because you're living in the darkness. You're living in fear. So we're living trapped in this place. So we spoke the other day about things we need to do to avoid the triangle. No news of any kind. We spoke about minimal social media, and we spoke about avoid conversations that pull us into the drama that you have no control over. And if you want to repeat, just watch the repeat of yesterday, you'll get that, or go to the webinar. See there. So let's go over now and let's talk about some things that you can do. And that is to invite activities into your sanctuary that make you feel good and at peace. What are those kinds of things? Well, this might be one of them. Coming here and joining others today just like Michael says, I'm feeling a lot of stress and I'm angst right here. So I need to go to a place where I'm going to feel good and at peace, because right now I'm in drama. And there's all kinds of great places. You might, and what I will say is that there's communities. You can go out and spend time with people that you enjoy. Go to groups. You can go to Gaia.com. Uh, Meditation, contemplate, all these. There's just all sorts of things where you can come together with other people in union that make you feel good. You know, just getting on the phone and telling someone you care about them and asking and just check on how they're feeling. I mean, it doesn't take a huge imagination. Any of us feel into our heart and say, what could I do right now that would make me feel better? It might be just something as simple as picking up the telephone and giving someone that you care about a phone call and saying hello. Yes, MKP. MKP is a great activity. It's a great community that helps men to look at their shadows and come to the truth of who they are. And it's an incredible. I mean, I was with my men met over here at my house last night. We had our I group here. Absolutely, that's an activity that I have in my life in my I groups. That, thank you for that, Michael. It's certainly just if you just with the Google, spend a few minutes looking for things that you enjoy doing. You know, this because the weather is so nice. Hey, there's my dear friend Sandrine. Great to see you. How have you been? She was my. What have you been up to? Ah, nice to see you. I'm so glad you joined us today. Thank you for being here. Yeah, awesome. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So think about things that you really enjoy doing and do them. You know, the ego wants to feel enjoy space. The ego cannot understand space, drama. We have to fill up our interior with drama because our egos don't understand spaciousness. But that's where our freedom is. Our freedom is to be unattached to the material so that we can live freely in the spaciousness within our lives. And that's what a sanctuary is. It's living in the space between the objects. So think of things that you enjoy and invite them into your life. Make an active attempt to do things that make you feel good and at peace. The other thing that I'm going to suggest that you do is spend time with others who have a shared interest in spiritual matters. We are spiritual beings. Remember what Eckhart told me. I love this imagery. It helps me so much. Many humans, one being. Spend time with people who understand the beingness of our nature, our spiritual nature. Because it's very difficult, because we're talking about formless, empty nothingness. So to most people who don't have a spirit, who have no understanding of that, we're going to seem like very odd people. We do seem like odd people. I mean, I'm sure I was speaking to someone that thought I'd gone a third eye, but I was talking about these matters. But oh, can you please elaborate? Let's see here. Can you please elaborate space between? Yes, that's a great question, and I'd love to elaborate on that. So let's talk about when you look out into the universe. When you look out your window, when you look out, what do you see? You see objects and you see space. I'm gonna go right to the spiritual. Jesus said, "There's the material world and there's heaven." That's what I'm talking about. It is the unformed, unmanifested, creative energy that's everywhere we look. That is the heaven at hand. That is consciousness. It is the space within between the objects. And that's what a refuge is. It is being able to fall into that spaciousness so we can see around the objects. It's like the hole in the donut. If you think you're the donut, then you're caught in the material limitations of the donut. But when you let go of it and you realize you're the space in the donut, you're free to move around and create something new and different. So it's the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. The spiritual world is that empty space between the objects that creates. We all have it within us. And when we meditate, quiet our mind, the thoughts are the objects, if you will, and we create space around them by meditating. Does that answer your question? Or try to? You have any more questions? Anything else you want to ask about that? Does that make sense? There's only objects in space. That's it. That's how energy shows up. It shows up as spaciousness, or it shows up as an object. And the human mind focuses on the objects. The spiritual is itself the space. The light, the dark. So my invitation to you is to spend time with people who share your interest and enjoyment of the space. It's not hard to find people who enjoy the material world. And we're getting more and more people who are waking up to the fact that there is space around the objects, and that's where all the power is. You know, back in the days of before we understood energy, we called it spiritual because we could see the wind blowing the trees, but we didn't know what moved the trees. So we called it spirit. We called it wind. We called it. Jesus called it heaven because he could see spaciousness above us. That's what he was talking about. The Buddhists call it emptiness. It's all that spaciousness. So spend time with other people who share your interest in spiritual matters, in the space around the objects. That's what I would say. I'm sorry. What do we got here now? Now, I'm not here to I don't care if other people drink or not. It's none of my business. But I will say this about alcohol and drugs: avoid excessive use of it. Only I would say most people enjoy alcohol and recreational drugs, plant medicines, without any negative effect. They're not addicted to them. They enjoy them, and they enjoy the benefits of them, the spirit of alcohol. But it's like when it's moving from the space to the object, you got a problem, because now you're focused on the object and you can't focus on the space. You know, if you're someone that can come back and have a glass of wine and enjoy the ocean, and that's it. But if you can't enjoy yourself unless you're high, you might want to just take a look at that. That's all I'm saying. And one easy way to do it is give yourself 90 days without it. Go to an AA. If you're not, go to an AA meeting and just learn what they're about. AA is not so much about alcohol as it is about spiritual journey. So it's a great place to go and discover yourself. You know who you are. I certainly did, and you'll discover very soon it's not about alcohol. It's about narcissism. It's about our addiction to ourselves and our addiction to fear. And it's a narcissistic. It's really our narcissistic behavior. So if you want to find out if you're using too many drugs and alcohol, go to an AA meeting for 90 days and just don't do it, and you'll find out. I don't know, but I will say that it's really hard to spend much time in the kingdom of heaven if you're using drugs and alcohol to escape reality. This is my favorite, and this is the third of the things, and that is make generosity and gratitude a fun new habit. If you want to live in abundance and prosperity, practice generosity. Be generous. Reimagine yourself. We reimagine ourselves living generously. I'm leading a campaign at my church right now. It's called Reimagining Generosity. I'm the stewardship chair for this year. And my whole campaign is around reimagining generosity. And I gave everybody an exercise yesterday who's part of this mastermind. I call it the mastermind, to think, well, how would you imagine your life if you were living more generously? if you were living generously? Where are you not living generously? And come back to me and let me know. And I would suggest the same thing to you. Where are you? We want to run from our inner world. We do and we don't. We get pulled into our inner world by fear. Um, and and yes, we want to run away from that. We want to escape from that through alcohol and drugs. We want to run away from the pain of the inner world. And so what we do, because we're focused on the objects, pain is an object, is an energetic pain object. So, and we drink, or we drink too much in order to escape that pain. So yeah, we do kind of want to run away from the pain of the inner world. But I want to suggest what we do in meditation is we sit in contemplation in the paradox of the pain in the world, inner and outer, to create space around it. Because then you begin to see the space and not the pain. That's what happens here. Yes, addictions. Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'm following you. Yeah, addictions are our way of escaping from the pain, escaping from the truth, but the truth will set you free. So if you let go, first you got to recognize you got an addiction, and then you got to be willing to let go of it. 12 steps is one of the best ways I know. So yeah, and that you're very right. You're exactly right. Yes, got it. Do I like my own? That's a very good. That is a great question. Do I like my own company? How generous are you with your own self? Do you make space for you to get to know yourself? Some people don't even know who they are because they're so afraid to find out. I had someone the other day say, "Oh, I'm so bored during this whole thing." I said, "Well, then quit being boring. If you're bored, because you're who's bored? You are. Well, who's creating the boredom? You are. You know, that's the reality. The ego is looking for entertainment. It's looking for a way to get entertained and fill up some space. The last thing we might even call that spaciousness boredom when we first start getting into it, creating that space within us for creativity. You look around and you see the space between the objects is kind of boring. But get to know the space within you. Do I like my own company? That's a great question. Good question for all of us. I have to say I do like my own company. I enjoy my company. I like it more and more today as I become more present to it, as I become more present to the truth of who I am. I go now for morning walks with my dog every morning over this park because the weather's so beautiful, and I just love it. I mean, it's peaceful, it's serene, it's spaciousness, it's nature, and it opens up my heart to seeing just the abundance we live in. So when we make generosity and gratitude a fun new habit, we actually begin to live. We begin to live from a place of love, joy, and prosperity, because that's what we are. That's how we're living. And if this is a new concept to you, there's an idea. Let me explain something to you. You can't experience the feelings of gratitude and fear at the same time. So one technique that I give you, Michael, is you said you came in with some fear and anxiety. Is what that anxiety is we have fear. We have fear of the future. We're projecting. We're projecting tomorrow is going to be worse than today. We're focused on the object of the pain, of the fear, and we're projecting that into the future. And that makes us feel anxious because we don't want to live into more. So my suggestion is to By practicing generosity and gratitude, we can let go. It's one way of letting go of the fear, feeling the fear and letting go of it, and looking at what's true. How was I generous? You know. So I suggest people keep a gratitude, generosity journal by their bed at night, and before you go to sleep, just sit down and write all the things that you're grateful about. Could be grateful for just the fact that you got a nice warm bed to sleep in and you had a nice meal. I mean, it's amazing when you just stop and think about all that we have that you to be grateful for. But the ego always is going to be thinking about what it doesn't have. So one way to balance that out is to look at all the things that you do have. And sometimes we need to be reminded, and keeping a journal is one of the best ways I know of to do that. On the same subject of generosity, become intentional and look for opportunities to be generous. Practicing generosity is probably the most important thing we could do right now in the world, is to begin to reimagine ourselves and the world we live in as generous people, sharing in the prosperity and abundance of this earth and our lives. That's how we shift. And when we begin to live this way internally, that's the world we'll create externally. We always have to start within ourselves to manifest out there. When I created that webinar, the more I created, we got practice the art of being present within me. I found this sense of peace and power within myself, and then I'm able to create that world out here, and that's the world I get to live in today. It's a much more exciting world than living in a place of scarcity and doubt and fear and all that, which we've all done. But become intentional. I'll tell you, one of my best stories is about generosity was a few years ago when I was traveling on the crosstown shuttle subway line, and there was a big homeless African American man. Didn't smell particularly good, looked a little disheveled, and and kind of wore ratty clothes, and he was sitting right below me where I was standing. And I looked at him and I called him, he caught my eye and I caught his eye. He said, "I just want something to eat." I said, "Well, what would you like to eat? What if I could get you, if you get anything you wanted to eat right now, what would he say?" "I want a hamburger." I said, "Well, come on, let's go get you a hamburger right now." So we crossed town together and we got to know each other. And I listened to him and I spoke to him. And he was so grateful. Not so much that I was buying him a hamburger, but someone took the time to see and hear him as a brother, as a fellow human being. And I remember and on the way he started telling me about how he didn't like living on the street and that he didn't have a choice. And he'd just gotten out of the hospital, the mental hospital. And I said, "What for?" He said, I have some issues. And he was telling me about those. And he said, also, it's a safe place for me. And I'm in the hospital, I'm safe. And it was kind of breaking my heart, but he was so grateful. And then he was telling me about he had a cousin with kids and he was going to go see them, but he couldn't live with them because it wasn't safe for him to be around the kids. I don't know what all that meant, but I did. I took him with me about him a hamburger. It's Steak Shack, anything you wanted on it. And he was just so grateful. And I walked away from that moment and it changed my life. That's kindness. I changed in that moment. And look for those opportunities to be generous, not just with your money, but with your heart and with your time. And I'll never forget the day I spent with that guy. His name was Maxim was his name. Maxim was his name. Anyway, become intentional and look for opportunities to be generous in all of this, because people are hurting. And maybe it's just generosity with taking the time to pick up the phone and find out where they are and hear their story. Exactly. Be generous with yourself and stop judging and start loving yourself. Exactly. We spend so much energy judging, attacking. Let it go. Exactly. And finally, it's finding solitude in your sanctuary. And we're gonna we're gonna talk about what that is meditation and finding solitude, looking for ways to find solitude. For me, in the morning, it's my walk with my dog over in the park, in the woods. So these are some things that you can do to really um, this is a course, but let's see what here. Oh, you're welcome. Well, it's a reality, and and this is what it is we see these homeless people all the time, and we don't want to be bothered with them because it makes us feel bad about ourselves. But because we make up a story that they're dirty or they're ugly or something, you know, but they're really just human beings like you and me. And just be generous with your time. Be generous with your heart. Become intentional and look for ways to be generous. So that's what I got for you today. And if you want to take the webinar, you can go to the Financial Mystics Sanctuary Facebook page, join, and you can watch it at your leisure. And yes, Michael, I would highly recommend it for you because of what you just told me that you feeling better now because you said you came on here, you were feeling sort of, feeling a lot of angst and anger. I hope that just settling down and having a place to share that you're feeling that way and be with us today brought you some level of relief and comfort because um, it's hard. It's a difficult time we're living in. So everyone do a little meditation. This is it. Stick around for the meditation. That's the most important part of this hour. It's not my conversation. Meditation is not boring. It is anything but boring. And once you practice it enough, it can become the most getting to know yourself. But what really says, be generous with yourself through contemplative prayer, through creating that intimate, loving relationship with the divine within yourself. Jesus only gave us two commandments. One, to love your Lord your God with all your heart and all your might and all your soul. And the second was unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. And he wasn't talking about the Lord your God as some crazy creation we made in Sunday school. He was talking about the essence of who we are. Get to know the essence of who you are through contemplative prayer, through getting silent. And that essence, that presence will come alive in you. And it is an exciting way to live because you're not stuck on the material. You're not stuck on the donut. You're free. You're the whole. You can live completely and fully free of any attachment to any object you choose. It's your choice. Do I want to be attached to the object or do I want the freedom of the spaciousness? This is the kingdom of heaven Jesus was talking about. It's the spaciousness around the objects. It's that higher level of consciousness within us. It creates everything. And it is not boring. So stick around. It takes practice. Let me set this timer here. And we're going to meditate for 20 minutes. So raise your arms in the air and just get still. And feel Go inside and feel the life within your fingers. That's just as far as you need to travel to find the divine. That's what's holding your arms up. That life force energy, that light is holding up your arms. Feel it in your fingertips. Feel them down. And now begin to focus on your breath. We're going to do a little mindful breathing. Allow the breath to come in kind of in a circular fashion, kind of imagine it energetically coming in, going up into the head, down into your lungs, into your blood, going throughout your body, and going out. Coming in and going out. Coming in and going out. And just get still and be present to it. If thoughts come up, and they will, try to look at the space before and after the thought. Let it go and what's there. A thought is an object. Let it go and fall back into the spaciousness from which it arose. Allow yourself to fall back more deeply into the spaciousness within you. Find the spaces. Open your heart to the emptiness of the divine. Allow the interval bell to wake you up from any thought trance and reset. Let go of the object. Let go of the thought. And fall back into the emptiness. Wake up, let go of the thought, fall back into emptiness. Let go of your attachment to a thought. Reset, let go, and fall into emptiness. Welcome back. How was your journey? I don't know about you, but having this thought about thoughts being objects and being into space was really helpful for me today. I caught myself so many times attached to a thought. Because what happens for me in meditation is that ideas come up, and then I want to attach to them, and I want to solve that, and I want to do it, and that's fine. But really, the power is in the space. So I let go and I come back, and that's the practice, the practice, the practice, the practice. Because the object that I'm going to create is going to be more powerful if I can can create enough space around it for it to form. Um, like my webinar is going to take me a couple of days, and it ended up taking me the entire summer. I put enough space around it so that the product is, I think, something pretty profound. Not because Martin produced it, but because Joy the Wise Woman did. That's why I think it'll be of some help to you. So you get a chance, take a look at it. So thank you today. Anybody have any comments they want to make before we depart and go out? Michael, are you feeling a little better, a little more relieved, a little more space around the agitation and the fear? if we have nothing else we want to say or to talk about today, then we will close with some space. Good. I really recommend my webinar to you, Michael. It's timely, and based on what you're studying, you just go to you just go to the Facebook page and watch it. See what it feels like. You won't know until you try it. See if it makes you feel better. You know, particularly if you find yourself in anxiety, and come back tomorrow. We'll be here. And so thank you for joining us today and being part of it as we love and support each other through this pandemic. And may love and prosperity prevail. You're welcome. Thank you.